Welcome to this episode of the Common Sense Skeptic, now celebrating our 3rd anniversary of producing YouTube episodes and exposing some of the wildest claims made by the world's most famous, richest, dumbest people. Those who have accumulated cult followings, despite their public personas being largely fictional. Today, we're going to take a break from cracking on Elon Musk to focus on another well-known personality who has generated a huge cult following, a former kickboxer known as Andrew Tate. Also, to a lesser extent, his brother Kimball. This guy, the tag-along younger brother who's going to go down with the flaming coattails he's been riding his entire life. See, unfortunately for little bro, Tristen hitched his wagon to someone who made his fortune not by getting the shit kicked out of him, but by pimping little girls across the internet, some of whom may have been younger than 16 years old. And if the look on his face in this recent interview clip is any indication, Tristen is finally starting to realize his choice to partner up with and mirror his psychotic brother may have been a poor one. For the most part, we'll be focusing on Andrew and ignoring Tristen, since he's obviously not any kind of mastermind here. But just remember as we go, he's still hanging out in the shadows of Andrew, probably sobbing to himself in the corner right about now. But if you think for an instant that Tristen is the sweet and innocent younger brother and not at all complicit in the crimes he and his brother are accused of, think again. Here's what happens when the girls that work for Tristen don't give him all their money.
Be in charge of her own phone contact with members who like her. You are setting yourself up to get scammed. And that has happened to me before. I went to the room, smashed the room up, told her I knew what she did. She sent me all the money, but that has happened to me before.
Here's how Tristen bragged on a podcast about sexually abusing a 17-year-old girl.
Oh, Olivia. Jesus Christ. I was the second man she ever in her whole life. Beautiful, big, natural tits. So cute. Man, it hurt her at every moment that I was doing it, but it felt good for me, so who gives a shit?
And this tweet shows how his 35-year-old brain looks at 15-year-old children. To be clear, the age of consent in Romania is 15. However, if an older party abuses their authority or influence to gain sexual access to a victim, the age of consent then rises to 18 years old, which, for the Tates, is problematic.
One of my main chicks has 200,000 Instagram followers, and I took her virginity when she was 17. That's legal, by the way, here. I don't know if it's 18 in your crazy country.
However, Romanian age of consent laws are not the only laws that would apply here. Something you might find interesting if you're an American viewer is that anyone holding U.S. citizenship or passports, which the Tates do as U.S.-born citizens, is that there are severe laws on the books for people who have sex with minors abroad. The laws against the extraterritorial sexual exploitation of children prosecute people who travel out of the states to foreign countries that rape, sexually molest, or pay a child for sex. The penalty for this provision is up to 30 years in prison. Further, 18 U.S.C. 1596 grants extraterritorial jurisdiction to prosecutors to investigate foreign nationals who commit sex trafficking crimes against children outside the U.S. And for all of these statutes, a child is considered to be anyone under the age of 18. So if the American justice system decided to step up to the plate, both the brothers could be looking at severe federal charges as international statutory rapists. Let's be absolutely clear about Tristen. You would be hard-pressed to find a lie or exaggeration or a boastful claim that Andrew Tate made in the past that has not also been made by Tristen. They are co-conspirator peas of the exact same pot.
I have recruited, I think, although you've worked with a lot, more girls into, I guess, the adult entertainment industry than anyone else. I really have. And the one type of girl I couldn't recruit were girls with rich parents. Oh, do that for money. I don't need money. My family's rich.
One of the first things you have to learn about Andrew Tate is that absolutely everything he tells you is a lie. You can be more generous and call it an exaggeration of the truth, but lie suits far better. Doesn't matter if he's talking about his family, his childhood, his kickboxing career, his self-proclaimed wealth, everything is exaggerated beyond the point of believability, including how this receding jawline with hair plugs is continually promoting himself as the epitome of human accomplishment. Now, even though this episode was supposed to be avoiding Elon Musk, it has to be said there will be a couple mentions of him, because, of course, Musk finds his way into every topic and every story under the sun these days. For example, when Musk challenged Mark Zuckerberg to a cage match, which Zuck immediately accepted, and Dana White started promoting as the fight of the century because reasons. Andrew Tate reached out to Mr. Potato Head and offered to train him while Tate was under house arrest in Romania if Musk's mother was going to let him fight at all. See, May and her eldest son, pictured here entering the Jocasta Oedipus cotillion, share a special bond. At 52 years of age, it seems he still requires Mummy's permission to come out and play. And it would appear, as of today, he's not allowed, even if he was going to be trained by one of the highest profile sex traffickers in Romania. So instead, Musk has appealed to his mother's Canadian roots and taken up George St. Pierre's offer to train in order to win Mom over. We'll point out other connections between these two Neanderthals as they come up, but we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves here. Let's back up a bit and find out who Andrew Tate is, where he came from, and how the hell we got here. First off, Andrew Tate's name is not actually Andrew Tate. His birth name, Emery Andrew Tate III, was given him by his African-American father, Emery Tate Jr., a second-tier chess player and former Staff Sergeant Airman in the U.S. military, and his British mother, Eileen, who was a part-time dishwasher. Andy was born in late 1986, his brother Tristan in mid-1988. The two parents produced these two partners in crime and a daughter named Janine. Janine, the youngest child, is a lawyer in the U.S. who has very little contact with her older brothers, while the two boys are reportedly inseparable. Obviously, Janine is the smarter of the siblings. Emery Tate III now chooses to go by his middle name, Andrew. His parents divorced in 1997 when little Andy was about 12. His mother returned to England with the children, and when Andrew started making money through his kickboxing career, he decided for his mother she could retire and that he would take care of all of her expenses, which sounds very noble and generous. Until you realize that Tate's entire asset portfolio, cash and crypto, has now been seized due to being proceeds of his ongoing criminal enterprise that was funding Eileen's retirement, which she is not too happy about. Which means Eileen will probably wind up suffering as a result if she hasn't been banking some of her allowance. Tate's father, on the other hand, who Andy likes to describe as a genius as a way to pump up his own imagined intellectual prowess, died in 2015 in his 50s, so Emery Jr. was spared this chapter of his son's lives and the repercussions of it. Andy also has no qualms about calling his father abusive, and he likes to tell stories of his tragic youth suffering at the hands of Emery Jr., who was busted down from sergeant to janitor due to some conflict with his superiors. Then he was eventually drummed out of the military completely in 1992.
When they discharged him, they said he had narcissistic personality disorder, and the reason they said he had that is because he refused to listen to one of his commanders, and my father was arguing with him about the translation of a certain word. My father believed it was slang for something else. The superior believed it was something else. They got into a personal beef. It developed over months and months and months of arguments about translations, and my dad ended up being told to sweep outside for 8 hours a day. And I got to the point where my father got discharged. And they offered him this military pension, and he refused it. He said, "My sanity is not for sale."
Out of his diagnosed narcissistic pride, which would seem to be passed on genetically on the male side of the Tate bloodline, Emery Jr. refused his military pension, which drove his family into destitution as Emery Jr. pursued chess tournament glory and alcoholism. Another trait that seems to be genetic in the XYs of the Tate family is misogyny. Take, for example, this tweet where Andy relays how his father described his mother to him. She fed you healthy meals every day, cleaned the house, and was largely quiet. Although Emery Jr. claimed to love her very much, that's not how a loving husband describes his wife. That's how someone describes a servant, a maid, or a nanny. As the final line in the tweet states, according to Andrew, that's literally all a man wants. Andrew has since stepped up the misogyny quite a bit, but we're going to get to that later. 5 years after Emery Jr. got the boot from the military, his lady servant decided she'd had enough of being broke and cheated on, so she packed up the kids and moved back to the UK.
When my mom and dad split up, we moved to England, and my sister stopped talking to my dad because obviously my mom was upset because they split up, and my dad cheated.
Yeah. She should have expected it.
When my sister stopped talking to my dad, me and my brother obviously still spoke to him, and he said, "Boys, when you're older, you'll understand." And now I'm older, I understand. Yeah. He fucked a girl, so.
Yeah.
So when you see tweets like this or hear stories about how Andrew Tate's daddy was a linguistic genius CIA operative, that is a lie. Told by a 7-year-old boy to his buddies to make his unemployed alcoholic father seem like less of an asshole. The problem is, Andrew still tells the story like it's real. Another lie that little Andy likes to tell about his daddy is that Emery Jr. was a genius grandmaster at chess.
My father was a chess grandmaster. I was on track to become a chess grandmaster. So
He was a legitimate chess grandmaster.
my father was the highest rated black chess player in history.
Really?
Yeah.
It is well documented that while Dad was a renowned chess player, a reported trailblazer for African American players, having won several tournaments over his lifetime, Tate Jr. never exceeded the rank of International Master, the second tier, with a max FIDE rating of 2413 in 2006, barely cracking the barrier between Master and International Master, and 87 points shy of the Grandmaster rating that his oldest son likes to credit him with.
My father was a chess grandmaster.
Again, most likely to swell Andy's own artificial, self-proclaimed intelligence level. Now, as for the other, even more outlandish claim made by Andy about his daddy,
My father was the highest rated black chess player in history.
Really?
Yeah.
Emery Tate was not, in fact, the highest rated black chess player in history. That honor belongs to Jamaican-American Maurice Ashley, who was the first black man to achieve Grandmaster in a game of chess, receiving that honor in the year 2000, 15 years prior to Emery Jr.'s death. Maurice Ashley knew of Tate, even played him to a draw in the New York Open in 1993, and wrote about Tate after his death. But Ashley rose to Grandmaster in 2000, and Tate took until 2007 to receive his second-tier International Master ranking. Maurice Ashley was the first black Grandmaster, and 3 other black men have followed suit, none of them named Tate. Pontus Carlson from Sweden, awarded Grandmaster in 2007, Aman Simotawe from Zambia, awarded in 2009, and Kenny Solomon from South Africa, awarded Grandmaster in 2015. All of these men exceeded Tate's accomplishments in the chess arena during Tate's lifetime. In the same vein, Andy likes to tell the world that he himself was a chess prodigy, winning the Indiana State Championship at the age of 5 with a rating of 1600. Here's a recent tweet that he deleted and a video to go along with it.
I was state chess champion age 5 in Indiana, the under 16s. I was the youngest to ever win it. I remember I was sitting there across from some 16-year-old. When you're like 5.5, that's scary, right? And I remember when I beat him, he cried. That made me happy. I was like, ha! Not so big now.
Hold on. At 5 years old,
Yeah.
you were the Indiana State chess champion.
In the under 16s, yeah. So I was the youngest to ever win it. So I was on the way to becoming a grandmaster.
That is the story told by little Andy Tate. Wonder how truthful it is. Well, the US Chess Federation has all the records, so let's see what they say. Here's little Andy's USCF profile, going by Emery Tate III. Says here he had a top regular rating of 896 and a quick rating of 1056, a little shy of the 1600 he was bragging about. This site provides records of every tournament that Andy played in, going back to October of 1992 when Andy was almost 6. In this tournament from 1992, the one he's bragging about, he came in 10th of 10 players, with 4 straight losses. His dad won that tournament, with 4 straight wins. Maybe Andy meant this tournament that happened a couple weeks later. No, he came in 13th of 15, with 4 losses and a bye into the second round. His dad won that tournament as well, with 5 straight wins. Those are the only 2 tournaments that he entered in 1992. Also, this tournament that his dad won didn't have a 16 and under category. None of them do. The state championship tournaments especially are divided into grade levels, so that children are playing other children close to their own age. He played 2 tournaments in 1993. In May he came in dead last with 3 losses and a draw. Again, Daddy won that tournament. In October of 93 he placed 19th in a field of 22, scoring 2 points off of 2 wins in 5 games. Andrew Tate's records end in 1997 with a total of 20 events on his profile. The last event he played was in May of 1997, giving him an end rating of 896. Earlier that year, he played the Indiana State Championships in the 6 and under category in April, placing 76 in a field of 144 players, so didn't break the top half. 64-player state tournament in January of 1997, where he placed 21st in the 6th grade and under. January 1996, in the state 3rd grade and under championship field of 64, he came in 21st again. In January of 1995, same tournament level, 3rd and under, same finish, 21st in a field of 65. And in all the other registered tournaments he played between 1992 and 1997, Tate never took a top place finish, ever. His best finishes were 3rd of 5 in his 2nd grade school tournament and 5th of 39 in the reserve category of the Elkhart County Scholastic, which added 59 points towards his rating. But in most cases, Emery Tate III finished middle of the pack, if not tied for bottom position. So let's hear him tell that story again.
State chess champion age 5 in Indiana, the under 16s. I was the youngest to ever win it. So I was on the way to becoming a grandmaster.
Now, going through all of this elementary school stuff might seem petty to you, nitpicking, but you have to ask yourself this question. If Andrew Tate needs to lie about his childhood prowess while playing a board game to impress people, what else do you think he's willing to lie about to make himself seem far better than he is? As for his claims of being the smartest person on the planet, yes, that is a claim he often makes.
I'm the smartest person on this fucking planet.
His academic career is not at all impressive. The majority of Tate's schooling was done in the UK. His grand educational accomplishment is the UK equivalent of an American high school diploma, and he never attended post-secondary classes. He holds no diplomas or degrees in any discipline, although he was reportedly accepted into the Free Union ASCO. Tate didn't bother writing the personal statement that was required for admission, so he became ineligible to attend. Instead, he pursued a kickboxing career that would eventually give Tate a little bit of money and prestige. Tate proudly announces that he is a 4-time international kickboxing champion. That is his first and only somewhat legitimate claim to fame. But as with everything else Tate-related, even the stats of his kickboxing career are suspect. For example, if you go to Tate's Wikipedia page, you'll see in the right-hand column a kickboxing record of 76 wins, 23 by knockout, and 9 losses. Below that, he has a very average MMA record of 2-1 from fights in 2007 and 2010. So when people describe Tate as an international MMA champion, that is completely false. If you scroll down on that page, you can see a list of the recorded fights that Tate had. There are 31 fights listed here, not 85. There are 8 KOs, not 23, and there are 8 losses, not 9. And although the platform states the list is incomplete, where are those other fights? Who is in charge of the bookkeeping at ISKA that somehow misplaced the result of 54 Andrew Tate fights? The US Chess Federation has the state records from when Tate was 5 years old, so what gives? Either the list is incomplete, missing about 2/3 of the information, or, more likely, a lot of those fights are imaginary, just like Tate's chess state championship title. Henry Cejudo had some thoughts on Tate's record after breaking down some of Tate's performances.
And today we're going to be breaking down the one and only Andrew Tate. Going up against Miralem Atmati, 2020. But look at Miralem's record, guys. 3 wins, 2 losses, 24. This is what kickboxing typically tend to do. They typically do, what they do is they pad your record like you wouldn't believe. I mean, for this guy to have more than 80 fights, I mean, this is 2020. Yeah, okay, so he was 75-9 here. So I don't know when is it that he retired, but you shouldn't be fighting a guy that's 3-2 or 2-3. It's absolutely ridiculous. So this is against Kazmin Lingar. Again, for a guy who's 76-9, I mean, he's going up against a guy that's making his debut. This is what I'm saying, man. This is where you guys, you fans, you people that follow guys that you guys think are good fighters. This dude's making his damn debut against a guy that has over 80 fights, which is ridiculous. In other words, this is what you call a tomato can. I mean, he seems like a pretty smart dude, but he also has a padded record. So you can have 80 fights and fight 80 different scrubs. If you put a guy like with Andrew Tate with Jake Paul, I think Jake Paul gets it done fairly quickly.
While we're here, check out the screenshots of those 2 fights from 2020. Notice anything unusual about Andrew's stats? When he was fighting the guy that was 3-2, Tate's record on the screen was 40-7. 10 months later, when he was fighting the tomato can, his last fight on record, by the way, Tate's record had somehow jumped to 75-9. So his true record is anybody's guess. Regardless of his actual record, Tate's ability in the ring as a strict counter-striker was not strong enough to impress Arthur from the channel YouTube Boxing. We'll let him explain why.
Andrew Tate does have kickboxing skills. He's fast for his weight and has good reflexes. But he lacks kickboxing basics. He's not a championship caliber fighter. Tate is a tough mid-tier fighter. If he really was a world-class fighter, he would have been willingly invited to compete in K1 or Glory, because Andrew's peak came at a time when both leagues existed. Andrew himself said that in this world, you need to earn everything. Things find their value if they are difficult to achieve. Unfortunately for him, he did not achieve the title of a real-world champion in kickboxing.
Andrew Tate guy, if you were wondering, is he legit? Or is he just, so-so? He's so-so. Any kickboxer who's half decent at his weight class within Glory or 1FC, any of those guys are going to annihilate him.
Arthur, the narrator, also describes ISKA, the International Sport Karate Association that became the International Sport Kickboxing Association, the organization through which Tate won his titles.
ISKA is one of the international bodies regulating sport karate and kickboxing matches. The pool of athletes competing in this very narrow fighting style is nowhere near that of boxing or kickboxing. These types of kickboxers typically do not do well in MMA. These tournaments are rather semi-professional for those who could not get into the major leagues. To make it clearer, being an ISKA champion is like in MMA being a Bellator or 1FC champion. In the world of MMA, there is only one title that matters, and that is the UFC belt.
So Tate's prowess in the ring, against a very narrow field of competitors, is largely overstated. But his earnings in that sport certainly are not. The best purse Tate collected for any of his efforts in kickboxing came in about 100 grand. Compare that to the Conor McGregor-Floyd Mayweather boxing match, where McGregor got paid $30 million even though he lost the fight. Mayweather, on the other hand, was guaranteed $100 million for the same fight, win or lose, and that was in 2017 dollars. Safe to say, although Andrew Tate was competing at this same time, he did not, and likely could not, compete at their level. Tate effectively retired from kickboxing in 2017, citing the multiple surgeries he had on his weak eyes to reconnect his retinas. We'd also add his glass jaw that dropped him like a stone anytime a competitor landed one on his button. Through his minor celebrity in kickboxing, Andrew Tate was invited to participate in 2 reality TV shows, Ultimate Traveler in 2009 and Big Brother Season 17 in 2016. In both cases, Tate was gone within a couple of weeks. In Ultimate Traveler, after making an ass of himself, lying to and deceiving his own teammates, he caught an eye infection and was sent home. His Big Brother stint didn't go so well either. He lasted 7 days on the program before a video of him whipping a woman was leaked to producers, forcing them to give him the boot. Shortly afterwards, this unnamed woman came forward and declared she was the woman in the video and that the act was consensual.
Hello everyone, I just wanted to say something about the video that's been released recently about me and my ex-boyfriend Andrew Tate. Andrew is my still great friend. What you guys saw on the video, it's just what we used to do. It was just pure game. He's a great guy, he would never hurt anyone.
Although Andy did his best to portray himself as a baddie on both of the reality TV appearances.
So I know I'm the most intelligent person in this house, I know I'm the most capable person in this house. Fact.
Thinks he's fucking smart. He's not that smart, he's a sneaky little shit. Got his number. That fucker is a sly little fuck. The idea of staying here for 2-3 days ain't appealing.
It was this video that gave the public the first insider's view of what happens when his real bedroom doors are closed. The first light to penetrate the veil, as it were. And whether or not the act was consensual, although everybody has their kinks, the very kindest light you could shine on this video is that Andrew Tate gets sexual gratification from causing the physical pain of other people. In this particular video, the woman says she was a willing participant. But in this video, the woman was obviously not a willing participant.
You have a belt because you're a jerk. Show me the bruises. 1, 2, 3. Oh, baby. Oh, poor thing. I have an idea. You know what my idea is? You wanna know what my idea is? That's right, lock the door, you. You knew I was gonna beat the out of you. If you behaved, I wouldn't have to hit you, would I? You don't. Get out. You can't stay in there forever.
So, on camera, we have Tate admitting he bruised her with a belt, then threatened to beat the out of her after she locked herself in the bathroom. What a man's man. To take it one step further, here's an audio recording of Andrew Tate describing exactly how he strangled this particular unwilling victim during sex.
Am I a bad person? Because the more you didn't like it, the more I enjoyed it. I fucking loved how much you hated it. Turned me on. Why am I like that? Why? I am one of the most dangerous men on this planet. Sometimes you forget exactly how lucky you were to get fucked by me. Would you rather me pin you down and make you do things you didn't like, or would you rather fuck? You didn't like that I was thinking I can do whatever I want to. That's what it is. I'm the smartest person on this fucking planet. Are you seriously so offended I strangled you a little bit? You didn't fucking pass out. Chill the fuck out. Jesus Christ, I thought you were cool. What's wrong with you?
Such a man. Even went the victim blaming route on that one, because that's how a top G handles ungrateful bitches that don't like being choked while they're being raped. The lady in the first video, the one publicly exonerating Tate, will be making another appearance in part 2. So we're going to put a pin in her for now, but suffice it to say, she played a major role in the violence other women suffered at the hands of Andrew Tate, who seems to have no problem committing violence against women, whether it is consensual or not.
I got up and looked at him and went, "What's wrong?" She said. This guy literally laid there and went, "I'm just debating whether I should rape you or not," and started strangling me, forcing my trousers off me. I was trying to keep them on and he started screaming at me, "Take the effing trousers off, bitch." Tate then raped her, Amelia said. As he did, she said, he continued to choke her, saying things like, "Who do you belong to?" Even as she was unable to physically speak due to his hands constricting her throat. He's like, "Effing say it, bitch. You're not effing saying my name. Say my effing name. Otherwise, I'll kill you."
Slap, slap, grab, choke, shut up, bitch, sex.
Once the veil on Andrew Tate was pierced, following his Big Brother exit in disgrace, more and more Tate-related material flooded social media domains. Much of it, material Tate himself was responsible for, as he began making an infamous name for himself through his burgeoning social media empire. When we come back, we're going to take you through as much of that eye-opening material as we can, covering interviews, articles, his own statements, and his self-help courses, as well as his inevitable arrest last December. If you thought we went digging for this part of the series, you ain't seen nothing yet. Grab your popcorn, boys and girls. This was the warm-up act. The entertainment portion is about to begin. Click here when you're ready for part 2 of Andrew Tate, Matrix of Lies.